Hello, everyone. Happy Friday to all of you. How's everyone doing? Let me go ahead and reposition my microphone to make sure that you can all hear me okay. Can you all hear me loud and clear? Give me a number one, please. How's everyone doing? JT, hello. Dana, how are you doing? Let's go ahead and bring this over here a little bit. That way I don't have to be looking down too much. Scott, how you doing? Good to see you. A9 is in the house. Good to see you as well. Lori Martin, Patricia, how are you? Jan is in the house. Terry, Dana, let's prep. Yarn Prepper, how are you doing? It's very good to see you. I hope you're doing well, Yarn Prepper. Okay, I'm getting one, so that means that we're coming in loud and clear. Brooklyn Frazier, how are you doing? Good to see you. Stormy Kurtz is in the house. Ben N, how are you? Keisha, how are you doing, Keisha? F. Pierre in the house. Evita, how are you? JR, how are you doing, my brother? Uh, Igualmente. JR sends his best wishes. Once again, no notification for the live Sunday. That was an impromptu live on Sunday. Like I went live without pre-posting it or anything. I just wanted to see if it would work. And it was terrible because I was doing it from outside and the phone was really cold and everything. But yeah, and Evita says, love your camping videos. Thank you. I have some, it's not terrible news. For me, it is. But I came into the bunker this morning at about 8 a.m., roughly. Yeah, roughly around 7:45, 8 a.m. to edit that camping video that I was doing, that I did while I did that live stream. And I probably spent about 4 or 5 hours editing it. And then about 20 minutes before I was done, I was like putting some last finishing touches towards the end. The file became corrupt and I lost the entire video. So now, if I want to put that video up, I have to re edit it. So I'm looking at another 4 to 5 hours, maybe a little longer, because I have to re upload everything. So I'll probably end up doing it, but it's definitely not going to release when I thought it was going to release. And I almost got ticked off. I like, you know what? If I get angry about this, there's nothing I can do about it. It's still gone. And the thing is, let me all know if any of you out there use any video editing software. Let me know, or send me a link or something like that via email. Let me know what you use and if you like it, because I use Camtasia. And Camtasia, when I first started using it back in, I believe it was 2019, it was a great software. And then they upgraded it and they did not allow me to keep the 2019. It just wouldn't work. And I ended up getting the 2023 piece of junk. It's always crashing, but every time that it's crashed in the past, it has at least auto saved my work. Well, this time when the file corrupted, I tried opening it and I could see the file right there, but it just wouldn't allow me to get to the file, and it corrupted. And in all essence, it pretty much crashed because I couldn't use it. So anyways, it went downhill in my opinion once they tried to put upgrades on it. Just a piece of junk. So if you all have any recommendations on a good editing software, please let me know. Love Mama, how are you doing? Good to see you. Blessings to you as well. How you doing, Luke Thompson? Troll, how are you? Well, let's see. Kathy, how are you? Sherry, this is your day, ladies and gentlemen. So this is your time, meaning that I'm going to be here today to talk about anything you want to talk about and answer any questions that you may have that you would like to share with the community. So if you have questions or if you have any comments that you want to share with the community, put them all in caps in hopes that I can catch them and see them as they pass by. How you doing, Grinch? Good to see you. James Floyd. Tommy is in the house. How you doing, Tommy? Pittsburgh City of Champions, 1979. How are you? Look at that. Mike Patino's in the house. How you doing, Mike? RM Life. Rex Wilhite is in the house. How you doing, Rex? Are you keeping warm? Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't no joke. This ain't no joke. Negative 34. Negative 34 right now. And believe it or not, I actually recorded about a 15-minute video outside today wearing nothing but this, a couple of gloves, and a hat. But I did have to come inside halfway through to let my hands thaw out. But yeah, it's pretty chilly outside. Sunset Gazing, how you doing? Cinder, Miss America, how are you doing? Jeff Riffle, how are you doing, Jeff? Amazing Grandma, how are you doing? Cook Depp, Janice in the house, how you doing, Jan? I'm pretty sure I saw JT around here earlier. Ken Nell, Lisa, Scott Hummer, how are you, Scott? Uh, Senior Marie Augustine, how are you doing? Good evening to you, all the way from PA. Caroline, how are you doing? Melissa, A Hobbit is in the house. Let me see. A beautiful day, how are you doing? Good to see you all the way from South Carolina. Colleen Rich Pickett, how are you? Country Girl is here. BMX. Tammy Brennan, how are you doing, Tammy? So good to see you. Happy New Year. Linda Bop asks, have I talked to Gray by any chance? No, I have not. Please don't tell me that there's something wrong with Gray. All right? I'll have to get a hold of him now because you told me, have I talked to him? Last time that we talked was during our Monday live stream, and we usually catch up on Sundays and make sure that everything's good for the next Monday. But I'll have to give him a call maybe. Oh, not tonight. It's going to be too late, but maybe tomorrow morning. Trouble Bearstetter, how you doing? Good to see you. Stuart's Prepping, how you doing? Rhonda, how are you? All right, let's bring it on down a little bit. Dale Robertson, how are you? Cutting Tool Designer, good to see you. Let's see. Hey, how you doing, SR? Good to see you. Troy Sutton, hello. Again, this is your time, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have any questions and or anything you want to share with the community, put it in all caps, okay? We can talk about whatever you want. I didn't come prepared to talk about anything today. I figured that today could be your day, and we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about or bring up, right? ANU, how are you doing? Good to see you. Storm Weather. Tina, how are you doing? All the way from Toledo, Ohio. Evita says, I've been using Video Guru. Let me go ahead and take a print screen of that. You said for years you can upgrade it. Is it a compute? Is it for a computer, for a PC, or is it for a phone? I'm going to take a picture of it anyways. Give me a second here. Let me because I do most of my editing on my PC. All right. Cult Leader, how are you doing? Good to see you. Michael Stacking, how are you? Gardening for Better Health. Nice to see you. 103 Catherine. Oh, check this out. Alisa Campbell, 1958. I hope you're watching this, and or I hope that you watched yesterday's video where I announced you as the winner of the Opus 1800. Okay, and I also put it up in the community page. So I hope that Alisa Campbell, 1958. I hope that you see this. Contact me at onewinnerwinnerchickendinner2@gmail.com, and we'll set it up so that Opus can mail you your prize of an Opus 1800 solar generator, right? Hopefully you get a hold of me, Alisa. Let's see. Dana, let's prep. How you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Question. What is your take on what's happening in the southern border? Treason is what it is. I mean, that's all there's to it, treason. Whenever you, as a government official that was elected by your constituents, i.e. the American citizenry, puts the country at grave risk or grave danger because you're sold out, that's treason. So pretty much, or let me put it better, whenever you help the enemy, all right, whenever you willingly help the enemy, that's treason. And leaving the border open 100% the way that it is now, and not wanting to allow the law of the land to be enforced, and knowing that there are bad characters that are coming across, that's treason, ladies and gentlemen. That's all there is. I believe that 20, 30, 50 years from now, we will look back. And if the right side wins, if the side of good wins over evil, the history books will show this as a treasonous act by this administration. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. That's what it is. Let's see. Hey, Tommy Bites. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. And I always forget to say this, but my mods, if you see anyone out here during our chats, during our live stream that has their own YouTube channel, please go ahead and put their link and put up Tommy's link as well. Because Tommy, you've been part of this community for a very long time, haven't you? And I've been subscribed to your channel for a while also. Okay. Oh, cutting tool edge designer. Thank you very much. Let's talk about the southern border. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it, except that, in my opinion, it really is treason. We can sit here and talk about all of the things that we can be doing with the money that we're sending overseas to other countries to chim up their borders, and instead we're not spending it here. We could be talking about all of the all of the people that are coming across unlawfully and are being treated to five-star hotels, are taking up the schools that our children are being kicked out of so that they can occupy the schools, and the children now have to learn from home, and who knows what their parents are going to do about work and watching their kids. We can talk about all of those injustices, ladies and gentlemen, but what it comes down to, in my opinion, is that it's treason. When we have an elected official that is purposefully hurting the nation, that is purposefully enabling our enemies, and you better guarantee that we have enemy personnel coming up through the southern border. That is like a granted, that is a given, right? There's no doubt about that. I mean, I put up a video a couple of days ago. I think it was on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday's news video? Where I showed that clip that I found from another YouTuber that was talking about it, about someone that came through the southern border from the Middle East that pretty much said, "You're going to find out who I am soon enough," pretty much insinuating that he was going to commit an act that was going to require us to know exactly who he was because the act would be so grave. Tell me it's not treason. But even though it's not lawful, and even though, let's see, it's going to be found out by the courts, even though the courts are no good. The courts are no good, ladies and gentlemen, right? The courts here that we have in the United States, they have become activists. Right? About 50% of the courts are activists. About 50% of the people in the Supreme Court, they're not judges anymore. They're activists. That's what they are. All right, so they're not going to do anyone any good, right? It's going to be found out that what they're doing is unlawful and it is treasonous. But how many of them do you think will go to jail? And when you say, oh, they're all going to go to jail, really? Well, look back the last 20 years. How many have gone to jail? You know, you remember that Operation Fast and Furious? We all know now that it was not a conspiracy. We all know now that Operation Fast and Furious was an unlawful operation. We all know that. But it's the gentleman in jail, the one that headed that operation. I believe his last name was Holder. I forget his first name, but his last name was Holder. It was during the Obama administration. It was illegal, and it even ended up costing lives of American Border Patrol. It ended up costing lives, shipping those arms unlawfully across the border to go ahead and arm people that maybe weren't very good people or a very good character. Has anyone gone to jail, ladies and gentlemen? No. Why is that? And this is exactly why you need to be prepared. For this reason, because you are not part of the club, and they are. They are part of the club. You're not. And that's why you have to be prepared. And that's why they haven't gone to jail. And that's why the people that are perpetrating these unlawful acts today, that are in the highest positions of government, will not go to jail either. Unless we have some kind of a civil war where the good side, you know, the side that's on side of good, right? Unless that side wins, then these people get brought to real justice by military tribunals and all of these complicated things, they're not going to jail. Okay. And that's unfortunately, that's just the way that it is. It is the world that we live in, unfortunately. Because I believe that they ought to be served with justice that is equal to the injustice or unjust acts that they committed in a public square where everyone can see it. So it won't happen again, at least for the next 10 generations. Who got me started already? Who got me going on a rant? Gray Man's not here. Lisa Foster, how are you? Lisa asks, what do you think about all the truckers heading to Texas? Um, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if we stick together, we have the power. And it's great that the truckers are going to go, to the southern border and all that kind of stuff to protest. But I think that if we as a nation just went on strike, that would be more effective. But yeah, it's great. You know why it's great though? I mean, personally, I don't think it's going to achieve much. Okay, in the long run, I don't think it's going to achieve much. But why I think it's great is that it reminds we, the people, that we have a First Amendment. It reminds us that we are allowed to speak out when we want to. So that's a great thing. And hopefully it will spotlight the problem of the southern border on those that maybe were thinking that, hey, it's just a conspiracy. CNN is not telling me that there's a problem in the southern border. So why should I believe it? Maybe it'll spotlight that and wake some people up. But I think most of all is it will at least allow us to remember that we have a First Amendment right and that we can practice that right anytime that we want. Okay. Cuba Bound, how you doing? Good to see you. Dale Robertson, how are you? Let's see. Hey, thank you very much, Bill. I'm going to try to see it right. Feger, Bill Feger or Bill Feger. Thank you very much for becoming a member of the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. Welcome and thank you. Let's see. Yeah, Rex, it's the same thing here. I've got my little heater that heats the bunker. I've got it on high all the way. And let's see, it's keeping it a toasty 56 degrees inside the bunker. So outside is negative 35 and inside is 56 in here, which is okay with me. And I think that today and tomorrow, I believe, are going to be the coldest days of this cold snap that we're getting. I thought we were going to avert this cold snap this year just because we've had such a mild winter, in my opinion, this year. But yeah, this is not bad. I mean, it's not terrible. Some people are like, oh my goodness, negative 40, negative 35, but it's just a way of life up here. We always get these temperatures at least once or twice or a few times every winter. How you doing, Lori Lua? Good to see you. Tina, how are you doing? Let's see. Tina asked, hello, about how long does that can of fuel last that you used? I think, Tina, that you're talking about that the cheapest camp stove that I found on Amazon, that review. It all depends on how long, what you use it for and all that kind of stuff. All right. So I'm guessing that to boil the 2 cups of water that I boiled on that small stove, and I'll tell you what, that's probably one of I love stoves, and I'm going to be doing more reviews on stoves, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a great time of the year to do reviews on stoves. And I'm going to tell you why here in a second. But I would say that to boil those 2 cups of water, it took about, I think it took, 4 minutes or something like that to boil 2 cups of water on that stove. So it probably only used up maybe a half ounce of fuel. So I would say that one of those bottles will last on full blast. One of those bottles will last between 80 to 90 minutes, to tell you the truth, on full blast. About an hour on full blast. Because if you'll remember, I used a bottle of butane, an 8.1 ounce bottle of butane or can of butane a few years back when I was reviewing a camping stove. And I used it in order to put a batch of pressure can. I pressure canned some meat. And I used it with one of those bottles or cans of propane, not propane, butane. So yeah, it'll last a while. I mean, one of those cans, in my opinion, will probably heat you up enough water for you to be able to eat for an entire week. So I think it's a great thing to have. I know you want to have a good stove set aside. And that little stove for less than $12, man, I'll tell you what, it's a great little stove. I'm really glad that I got it. Paul Douglas, how are you doing? And let me tell you why I think that this time of the year during the cold season, why it's a good time to do a lot of reviews for camping stoves or stoves that you're going to use in your house in case of a power outage, etc., etc. Well, one of the reasons why I think it's a great idea to do a lot of reviews, like on camping stoves, like that little stove that I did a few days back, is because they're not in high demand right now. It's not camping season. So right now it's the winter season. Nobody's really thinking about camping in mass. Some people do winter camping and stuff like that, but in mass, no one's really thinking about camping. So they're not in high demand, which means that the prices are probably a little lower than what you can normally get them for during the season, like summer when they're in high demand. So that's one good reason to be reviewing stoves now, camping stoves or grid down stoves, so that you can get them a little bit less expensive now because they're not in high demand. And another good reason to be reviewing stoves is the video that I've got coming out. I'm not sure if I'll put it out tomorrow or Monday, but I have a video coming out tomorrow or Monday on a camping stove that uses white gas. That Coleman gas. And the reason why I wanted to review that during this time of the year is because that stove or those stoves, they're supposed to turn on like a -20, -30 degrees. Well, today I recorded a video turning those on at like -35, -40. And it gives people the confidence to know that if they purchase something like that, because they know they may need it during a really cold part of the year, they'll know that it's going to work because they already saw it work by someone just reviewing it on YouTube. So I think this is a great part of the year. You save money because it's not high demand, and you get to use the stoves that are said to be made for, winter weather, for -degree weather. Star McKean, how you doing? And Palmer from the great state of Louisiana. Good to see you. Nice to see you. Hello, Chick. Good to see you. Journey Tarot, how are you doing? North of the 52nd, good to see you. Stand with Texas. Several state governments are sending national. That's outstanding. I believe that it's up to 25 plus state governors that have already pledged their support to Texas. I think that's great. We need to stick together, ladies and gentlemen. You know why? Because we are right on this. We are right on what's going on in the southern border. We are right that they should not be allowing it to happen. Why? Because it's eventually going to destroy our nation. That's what and that's the goal. All right. That's the end goal. You want to believe it, believe it. You don't. That's the end goal. Let's see. Amazing Grandma says 39 degrees in North Wisconsin today. Amazing. Well, I'm almost the same as you, except with a negative sign in front of it. Oh, goodness. And I'll tell you what is funny. For those of you that don't live or have ever lived in really cold areas like this, extreme cold, this morning when I took Little Miss Alaska Prepper to school, what happens when you have a vehicle that sits, meaning that you don't drive it a lot for at least 24 hours or so, and just sits in the parking spot for a long time during real cold weather, what happens is the wires inside of the tires that are made out of steel, steel belted tires. Well, what happens is they settle, right? And that little flat part of the tire or of the wheel on the bottom that's hitting the ground, it flattens out. Well, it's so cold for so long that little flat part stays flat. So when you're driving for the first few miles, you're like da-dum, 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 until finally it warms up enough to where it picks up that round shape again. But so that's how cold it is here. That's how cold it is to make it do that. Big Chap asked, rumors are flying that Putin wants Alaska back. Your thoughts? I mean, I talked about this briefly. I don't know, maybe during our last live stream, I think. And my thoughts is that come and get it, I guess. I mean, what can we do about it? All we can do about it is wait till we, cross that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, something like that, right? But if they're adamant about it, then I guess they'll come and get it if they believe enough that it belongs to them. I think it's just propaganda. I think that they have enough on their plate that they don't need to be starting something else. So it's just something else that he's putting out there for people to talk about. But even if he was 100% serious, then I guess we'll have to wait to cross that bridge when we get there. I do know that Fairbanks, Alaska, is per capita the most armed city in the United States of America. And that's not saying that much really, because Alaska only has about 650, 700,000 residents that live here permanently. So I guess we would have to wait and see what happens. It's something that I really don't worry about because there's nothing that I can do about it. I'll just continue to prepare. And ladies and gentlemen, in life, what happens, happens, and you just have to adjust and, and deal with it. So those are my thoughts on that, is that I really try not to think about that too much. I know about it, but I don't try to expend too much energy on it because there's just not much we can do about it. It's just like someone asked me, what do you think about Russia sending an ICBM over to Alaska? I'm like, well, I mean, if they send it, what can I do about it? I can pray. I can pray. I can hope that it's far enough to where it doesn't annihilate us and that we have time. I have time to maybe look out for my family and go wherever we need to go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right, ladies and gentlemen? But what can I do about it? Absolutely nothing. I try not to spend too much time on stuff that we can't do anything about. That's going to happen anyways. You see, the southern border is something that we can do about. Maybe not me personally here, but the people that are down there, they can do something about it. The truckers that are going over there to show them their support and to bring light to the situation, they are doing something about it. So those are things that we can do something about. But what a dictator or what a statesman from another country is doing or is saying about us, not too much that we can do about that. How you doing, NC? Good to see you. Okay, Linda Bob says, hey, Gray is fine. I had thought and asked him to get with you. Okay, well, he's fine. Okay, good. Well, I'll be talking to him probably on Sunday. Let's see. PSN, how are you doing? Good to see you. Welcome. A big storm possible this Sunday in Southeast Alaska. Really? Oh, wow. There's nothing is projected for the area and where I live. Right now, the only thing that's projected is pretty low temperatures for like the next two weeks or so, and a very tiny bit dusting of snow. We don't barely ever get any snow during the coldest parts of the year. And that's why I like it to be colder rather than warmer during the winter, because the colder that it is, the less snow that we get. And if we do get snow, it's very easy snow to move. Patty Bragg, how are you doing? Good to see you. And Scott Hummer says, really, what is your take on the situation between Texas and Biden? So I've already talked about this, but I'm going to go ahead and reiterate something that I've talked about in the past. I've always said, and those of you that have been here for a while have heard me say this, that it is more important that we have strong governors than we have a strong head of state, i.e. POTUS. Because it is our governors, ladies and gentlemen, that can save this country. It's not the president, all right? And it's not Congress. Vice versa. The president and Congress and the Senate are who are destroying our country, no matter who is in office. They are the ones destroying our country. But the governors of each individual state, as long as they're abiding by the wishes of their constituents, they're the ones that can save this country. They're the ones that can use the 10th Amendment in order to tell the federal government, hey, listen, just like Texas is doing, no, thank you. I don't need your help. But there are so many welfare states out there, and I'm not picking on any state. Alaska's a welfare state. Well, what's a welfare state, AP? Let me tell you what I think a welfare state is. A welfare state, in my opinion, is a state that expects more from the government, i.e. funds for whatever, than what it pays into the government. So if you live in a state where maybe like the public universities cannot operate unless they get that funding from the government, and there's a whole bunch of programs that cannot operate unless they get federal funding, that, in my opinion, is a welfare state, a state that takes in more than what they put out. Texas is not a welfare state. Texas puts out more, gives more to the federal government than what they bring in, right, from the federal government. So they can tell the federal government, hey, no, thank you. We can handle it ourselves. Now, what do I think? I think that all states, or all states that want to be free, I think that the governors should just bite the bullet and convince their constituents per each state and tell them, listen, We're going to go through some tough times, but I've decided as an executive order that I am going to go ahead and stop accepting all funding for everything from the federal government. We, whatever state you're in, fill in your name, we are going to take care of ourselves. That way, we are not beholden to the federal government just because we are on its teat and expect to get something from it that it has taken from another state. That's what I think ought to happen so that we can regain our sovereignty, not only as states, but as citizens of this country. So any state that wants to be free, their governor ought to be telling the federal government to pound sand. Plain and simple. That's how it was supposed to be. That's how this nation was founded, as these United States of America, not the. We are not one corporation. We are 50 different entities. I guess you can say 51 if you want to include DC, the District of Columbia. But we are not one entity. We are 50 different entities that just happen to hire a federal government to do a few little things that keeps us free. But we're far away from that. And that's why I say that something big is going to have to happen here, and that things will get worse before they eventually get better, and we enter into that new era of time, and or that new paradigm, however you want to say it, right? Night Sparrow, how are you doing? Good to see you. Ben, how are you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Okay. For those of you that just joined in, ladies and gentlemen, this is your time. So if you have any questions or comments, put them all in caps so that I can see them. Okay. And let me go ahead and put this up again real quick. Alisa Campbell, 1958, you are the winner of the OUPES 1800. So if you want to know how to claim your prize, go ahead and watch yesterday's video, the one that I put up on the 25th of January, 2024. Happy New Year. All right. And there's instructions there that will let you know how to get a hold of me. All right. And I also put this up on the community page. That way, hopefully, you can see it there if you're not watching here. KP Heathen, how are you doing? Good to see you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you do know that I have a website now. I have a website. Go to that website. It should be like one of the first links on the description of the video. Go to that website and sign up for my newsletter. I haven't even sent out a newsletter. And whenever I do send out a newsletter, it's going to be it's not going to be often. All right. I've been subscribed to channels and newsletters that will send you 5, 6 newsletters a day, ladies and gentlemen. I will never do that. You know, if I ever send out a newsletter, concurrently, like on a regular basis, it may be maybe once a week, maybe, but probably not even that. I just want you to go on there and sign up for that. And by the way, none of your information is sold. All right. Not, we don't, I don't sell. I don't sell your emails. I don't sell nothing. Nothing that you provide there is sold to anyone. The only reason I will use that is just to get a hold of you, and that's it. To send you a newsletter if something special is going on. That's about it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So go out there, sign up, because you just never know what can happen. I've been seeing a lot of YouTube channels getting demonetized and deplatformed because of what they've been talking about. And I think it's going to happen more and more and more the closer that we get to the end of this year, 2024. It's like I've said a few years back. Someone asked me, when is all of this going to come together? And when is going to be the Super Bowl for prepping? The Super Bowl for prepping, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is going to be toward the end of this year and into next year and going forward. What do I mean about the Super Bowl for prepping? It's going to be that you're going to be very happy that you were prepared, because you're going to end up needing your preps. Okay? So go to my newsletter, sign up, or my website, sign up, and that way I can get a hold of you if something ever happens. Let's hope it doesn't, but you never know. All right, all right. Let me take a sip of water. What time is it? Wow, we're already about half hour in. Let's see. Wow, that is awesome, isn't it? Oh my goodness, is it that many? Amazing Grandma, that is going to be an awesome site. Now, now answer me this question, ladies and gentlemen. Let me read this real quick. Amazing Grandma writes here 700,000 Patriot vehicle caravan heading for the Texas border, right? Do you think that they would be able to do that if we had a centrally backed digital currency as our main money, as our main form of transacting in our economy? Do you think that those 700,000 Patriot vehicles would be able to do that if we had a CBDC as our main money? That's how important it is that we do our best not to have that CBDC and to say no and to be prepared to be able to say no. So go ahead and answer. Say yes or no. I'm pretty sure I already know what the answer of most of you would be. But if the answer is yes, that they'd still be able to do that, then go ahead and give your explanation as to how. Let's see. Tina asks, how do we remove the POTUS lawfully? We don't. I covered this earlier on. You're not part of the club. He is. He's part of the club. If his son goes to jail, it'll be for a very minimal amount of time, and before he gets out of office, he's going to pardon him anyways. You're not part of the club. They are. He's not going to be removed. He's been put there for a reason. The reason he was put there was to destroy America. All right? That's why he was put there. The reason he was put there was to bankrupt us. Why do you think we spend more money overseas than we do here? You know, why do you think it is that the mega rich keep getting richer, but the working class keep getting poorer? It is what was supposed to be all along. When this financial system was developed, all right, back in 1913, they already knew ahead of time that it would fail. The people that have made these plans, the people that pull the strings, they are smart. They're not stupid, ladies and gentlemen. They want us to think that they're stupid. Look at who they put in from the podium all the time. They want us to think that they are stupid, but they're not. Do you really think he's the one making the decisions? Absolutely not. There's someone behind the scenes controlling everything that they do. They knew the system would fail, and they knew that that system that was imposed on we, the people, and by the system I mean the central banks, the Federal Reserve, the fiat currency. They knew that that system was put in place for one reason only, and that was in order to transfer all of your wealth onto a select few. And that's exactly what it's done for the last 110 years. And it is exactly what it will continue to do until it's finally over. So if you haven't protected yourself with real assets, making sure that you take fiat currency that you have in excess of, I'm not a financial advisor, I have to say that because I'm on the internet. You take that excess fiat currency and turn it into something that you know will retain its value. Me personally, I like gold and silver, mainly silver. It's easier to get. You don't have to spend as much at any given time. And anyways, I like silver more than gold. Whenever I have a chance, I get a little bit at a time. You know, just do a budget and figure it out, ladies and gentlemen. Figure it out. You can do it. I can't show that clip here, but if you go to the video that I put up, I think it was on Tuesdays. All right, let me see. Man, I'm just gonna call you Guy. All right, Guy. If you go to the video that I put up on Tuesday, uh, just check it out. It's like in the first few minutes, and it's not that long of a video either. I think it's like 14 or 16 minutes. I'll go check it out. You'll see it for yourself. Okay. But yeah, it's up there. I can't put it up here because I don't have it set or anything like that. Home of the Brave, how are you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Okay, bringing it down, ladies and gentlemen. Bringing it down just a little bit. Let's see if I can catch up a little here. How far behind? I am pretty far behind, as always. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Who else is concerned about the military being shipped out next week to the I and to NATO exercise? 4 months they're going to be gone, huh? Incredible. Well, of course, we have to be taking care of other people's borders. You have to understand that. So yeah, I guess that's why. I mean, man, I don't even know what to think about that. I didn't know about that, Tina. I didn't know about that. Our military, that many were going to be involved in this. It's just a heck of a shame. We are living in very interesting times. We really are, and uh, and I believe that this next generation, for which I believe all of us here will still be alive for this next generation, meaning this next 25, 30 years, it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to bring about changes that, although some will be painful, we will have been privileged to experience these changes because they only come about maybe once every 10 generations or so. So even though we're going to be through some bad times, we're going to live through through history. We're going to live through history that people are going to be talking about, and it's going to be in history books for generations XXX from now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Hey, YTU, how are you doing? Good to see you, YTU. Good to see you. Okay, bringing it down some. Hmm. Well, north of the 52nd, the National Guard should be controlled by the governor. That's the way it's supposed to be. But they can be shipped out overseas. You know, uh, I don't, I haven't read up on this a lot, but they can be shipped out overseas. But they are controlled by the governor mainly. I don't know if there's been any new case law that says any different, but I'm pretty sure that they are controlled by the governor, unless something's changed in the last few years that I don't know about. Like for example, like the POTUS can't just say, "Hey, Alaska National Guard, I need you to go to this other state." It has to be he has to ask, and then the governor of Alaska would have to ask the state that they want to send the National Guard from here to, and ask them for permission. I think that's how it works, but I could be wrong because things change all the time. You just can't keep up with everything. The Redneck Prepper, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Chelsea Hutchinson, how are you? Good to see you. Let's see. Let's see. Dale Robertson, what do you think about the recording of Carrie Lake? I have no idea what you're talking about, Dale. I believe Carrie Lake was the lady that. Oh, I know what you're talking about. That, okay. Well, let me tell you what I think you're talking about, okay, before I even go further. I think you're talking about Carrie Lake, who was the person that was running for governor of Arizona, I believe. All right. And obviously we won't talk about that race, right? But she was running for governor of Arizona, and now she's saying she's going to run for the Senate, I believe. And she was offered so many millions of dollars. I want to say $100 million, either 100 million or $10 million, not to run and keep her mouth shut and stop talking bad about one side of the aisle. All right, I believe it 100%. I believe. I mean, there's a recording of that. Then I didn't even know there was a recording until you said something. But yeah, I mean, I've often said this, and some people have called me crazy. But I said the reason why our system is as bad as it is has everything to do with money. Because whenever you have a corrupt government that can at will print as much money as it wants, it's going to use that money to do things that you don't know anything about. It's going to use that money for nefarious purposes. It's going to use that money to bribe people. It's going to use that money for black ops, black operations, pretty much operations that nobody knows about. How much money do we even know that there's out there, ladies and gentlemen? It's in the quadrillions, if not quintillion. Right? So there's so much money out there that we have no idea where it is. Look at Look at the study that Whitmore, I think it's Professor Whitmore, I think from the University of Michigan, who did a study where he found that there are 31 trillion unaccounted for dollars that the Pentagon cannot account for. 31 trillion dollars that the Pentagon cannot account for. All right, ladies and gentlemen, where's all this money at? Look at what happened on the 10th of September of 1991. When was it? Of 2001. I'm sorry. The 10th of September of 2001. What happened on that day? Well, Rumsfeld, and this is public record, you can look it up. Donald Rumsfeld, he made a speech saying, hey, the Pentagon can't account for $2.3 trillion. And guess what happened the next day? What happened on the day after the 10th of September of 2001? And guess what part of the Pentagon got hit, ladies and gentlemen? It was the part that kept the records of their finances, meaning that there's no longer any evidence to prove or disprove that the Pentagon could not keep track of $2.3 trillion. Well, Professor Skidmore, he went ahead and proved that they could not account between the Pentagon and HUD, right? That they could not account for $31 trillion. So where's all that money? And I've often said that it's the financial system of a government and the morals of the government that will dictate how long that country will last. Why? Because the more corrupt that the government is with no morals, the more that it will abuse the financial system and use it against its own constituency. And that's exactly what's been going on. North of 50 seconds says, I didn't see the stove fuel listed on your Amazon page. Well, that stove fuel is just a canned butane. You can just go ahead and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support what I do, use my Amazon link whenever you're going to shop on Amazon. It doesn't cost you 1 cent more. All it does is it takes a couple of pennies from Basil's and it sends it to me. It doesn't cost you a penny more. So if you purchase stuff from Amazon, please use my link down below in the description of the video. But all you have to do is just put in canned butane on Amazon and it'll pop up. If you live in the lower 48, I believe that they will ship it to you. And it's pretty good price on Amazon. They're not going to ship it up here to Alaska. But if you live in the lower 48, they will ship it to you. And if you haven't had a chance to grab one of those little stoves, go ahead and grab one because I think they still have them for like less than 12 bucks. And they are definitely worth it. Those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the little stove, take a look at the video that I put up earlier this week. I think it was Monday on the stove review because it's an awesome little stove. It's a new series that I started, or a new video series that I started prepping on the cheap. And that's a cheap camping stove that I think is very, very well worth what they asked for, if not more. Let's see. Make sure that you put your questions in all caps so I don't miss them. I did catch this one. How are you doing, Bob from accounting? I like that. Are you in the basement right now? Question is, if we need a gas generator, not just a solar, what wattage should we get? Excuse me. Gas or dual? Used to keep fridge and deep freezer running and a hot water heater and to recharge the EcoFlow. Do I have that here? Oh, just a second. I think it's back here. Nope. Here it is. I got it. All right, Bob. Good question. Let me go ahead and tell you what. Go ahead and grab yourself one of these. All right. I've showcased these before. I believe it's on my Amazon storefront as well. What this is a watt meter. All right. When you plug it into your outlet, let's say, and then you plug whatever appliance into the watt meter, it's going to tell you how many watts that appliance uses on a continuous basis. So let's say that it settles at 400 watts continuous. And it will also tell you the surge. If there was a surge, it will tell you what the surge was. So what I like to do is, let's say, for example, that I'm running my washer. And my washer on average uses, I don't know, about 300 watts, let's say, but then it has a surge of 600. So what I would do is I would go ahead and connect this one at a time to every appliance that I know I need during a power outage. So if I need a refrigerator, if I need to power a refrigerator, a freezer, a I don't know what else, my Toyo stove. Let's say those three things are the things that I really need in order to not have my food spoil and keep my house warm. I will go ahead and do each of those individually, and I will add them up. And then whatever wattage I come up with, I multiply it times 1.5. So let's say that I add up my refrigerator, which is 600 watts, my freezer, 600 watts, 1200, my Toyo stove, 300 watts, 1500. That means that I need a generator that will at least put out 1500 watts continuous. But my rule of thumbs is to take what I need and multiply it times 1.5. So instead of 1500, it's going to be about 2200 watts or so, 2250. So I would get a generator for me, from what I just told you, that's at least 2200 watts, right? Because it's going to be enough to power what I need and keep some lights on with no problems. And a small generator like that will also be able to recharge your solar generator if you're using it in conjunction with a gas generator. And I would get a dual fuel if you can. If you can get a dual fuel, get a dual fuel, because that's just smart. The more options that you have, so that you can power that thing during a long-term outage, the better for you. Let me see. I think that answered your question, Bob. Now, being that you talked about a hot water heater uses a lot of watts or a lot of amps. So you may need to get a generator, a gas generator that's up there, and they have them. You can get that. But in my opinion, a hot water heater is not priority during a power outage. Southern Yankee Prepper, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Thank you, Growing. You're very kind, very kind. Let's see. Okay, let me see how far. Man, I am so far behind, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. I apologize if you asked a question a half hour ago and I still haven't gotten to it. How you doing, Dale? Good to see you. I'm just trying not to miss too many, and you know that I talk a lot to answer a question. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, please help me fight the YouTube algorithm. They have lost favor with me. They almost don't recommend my videos to anyone. All right, so with your help, that may turn around in time. So if you could always, when you watch my videos, the most important thing is a couple of things: to give it a like, of course, but to also let it play all the way through. Right. So if you get bored of my voice or you just can't stand looking at this ugly mug, just let it play through. Go get yourself a cup of coffee. That really helps. And if you want to leave a short comment, or even just leave a period and leave that as a comment, that helps as well. That tells YouTube that people are engaged, that they're watching the videos, and that they like them, and they'll recommend them to more. But what YouTube's been doing lately is I think the name is called shadow banning, when they just don't recommend you to almost none of the people that are subscribed to your channel. So almost none of the people that are subscribed to my channel get recommended my videos. If you want to know what's going on my channel, what video I have out, you have to actually look for it yourself. You have to actually come to my channel and look for it. So if you can help out that way, I truly do appreciate it. Julie Peaks, the chickens are doing well. You can see I got a little egg back here that I got this morning. I have to get some more on my way into the house after the live stream. But I do have some really bad news. And this happened a couple of weeks ago, and I don't remember mentioning it. One of them passed away. I walked into the coop here about a couple weeks ago, and it was laying on the ground, and the other chickens were just walking right on top of her. And I think I know what happened, and I fixed the situation. I had some open, what do you call it? You know, that foam insulation? I have that on the door. Well, the top half of the door doesn't have that insulation covered with wood. The bottom half does, right? And the reason I covered the bottom half with wood is because I knew that the chickens would like to eat that insulation, and it's not good for them. And the reason why I didn't cover the upper half is because there's no way for them to get up there. Unless they started flying and they kept the wings flapping and pecked at it, which they wouldn't do that. Well, they found a way to get up there and peck at that insulation via the wire that I hook up to keep the water from freezing. And one of them, it looks like they stuffed themselves with that insulation, and she passed on, unfortunately. But that's the only casualty so far. We're averaging about 6 to 7 eggs every single day, even during the winter months. So we're doing really good. Right now, I have 9 layers that are laying, and I have 2 roosters. We have Poppy, which is our original rooster, and we have Big Red, which is the new alpha, right? Because he took Poppy's. Poppy is now a submissive rooster, right? Big Red is the big one. Big Red is one of the ones that I thought was a chicken originally, but ended up being a rooster. And he is a beautiful guy, really, really good looking guy. And Poppy is doing really well. I'm thinking about maybe building another small, a small spot for Poppy to have his own little crew, this next summer. But we'll see what happens. But Poppy is guaranteed a long life, right? He's not going to end up in the pot. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that he has a good life, right? And he's not going anywhere. But Big Red is a beautiful rooster as well. Oh yeah, Evita, this is awesome. I've had this I call it my bear suit. I've had it for a really long time and it's just very comfy. My wife got this for me a long time ago. Bill Feger, no, butane is not very good for very cold weather. Someone told me of a specific butane, which is the jet boil butane. The black bottles that say jet boil. They told me that those work really well in cold weather. I have to go dig one out or just go buy a new one. I have a whole bunch of those, but it'd probably be easier for me to just go buy a new one than to go dig one out of my cold storage and see if that works. If it does, I'll do a video and show you all that it works. That way you know which ones to get. But butane or propane in really super cold weather, it just doesn't work very well, especially if it's in a small container. So, like for example, if you have a 100-pound propane tank, it's going to work. Here it works at -30, -45. It works because I've used it before, in really cold weather. But if you have a small container, it's not going to work. It's just too cold for the small container. Same thing with the butane. But that is something that I'm going to try with the jet boil butane to see if that works. Because someone emailed me and told me, hey, this does work. I've used it before, like -20 or something like that. So we'll see. If it does, I'll share with you. That way you know. Yeah, chicken stamps. I think it's a disgrace that we are sending our men and women to the Middle East. I think it's a disgrace, period. We need our people here. We need our people here to defend our borders. But then again, like I said, White, hey, YTU, thank you so much. Look at this. I'm almost a half an hour behind. So thank you so much for this super chat. Can anyone tell me roughly how many yellow watermelons one vine might yield? I don't know how many seeds to plant. Thanks in advance. Well, I can't tell you how many, but this is what I've heard. I haven't grown watermelons in a very long time. I grew them way long time ago in Michigan. But from what I understand, you want to try to keep one watermelon, maybe 2 at the most per one vine. That way they grow nice and big and they get all the nutrients they need so that they won't be small watermelons. So, but if anyone has anything to say about that, put it in all caps and I'll read it. Colorado Pack Rat Prepper, how you doing? Did not get notified. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I told you, they're not notifying anyone. Oh, I'm so far behind. Isn't that crazy? Oh, they're not all going to Texas. That's okay. That's all right. It's like I said before. The good that's going to come out of this, in my opinion, is that it will wake some people up. All right, and it will and it'll allow people to understand that hey, you can use your First Amendment. You can talk about this stuff. You can wake some people up. So it's still going to be a good thing. All right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring this all the way to the bottom. I'm going to bring this all the way to the bottom. So if there was a question that you asked or a comment that you wanted to share, go ahead and repost it all in caps. Okay. But I'm so far behind, ladies and gentlemen, that that it's got to go to the bottom. But someone did ask real quick, what are your thoughts about the upcoming movie Civil War? I don't know. I did see the trailer, and it looks like it's going to be very entertaining. So we'll have to see. If you're getting at to maybe it's predictive programming, it could be, ladies and gentlemen. Look, we are at the verge of a lot of cycles coming together, and a major war is one of those cycles that's going to go ahead and culminate here at the end of this decade right here. So there will be a major war either within a nation or within the world because we are in the major war cycle. We're entering it. So it will happen. Countries are born and countries die every 250 or so years. And we here in the United States of America are at 240 something now. I think it's 246 or something like that. Something like that, or 248. So we're almost at the 250-year mark, which is the average length of a lifetime of a nation. And so when you put all of these things together and you see all of the cycles that are culminating around the same time, the financial cycle, the economic collapse, financial collapse cycle, all of these cycles, not only civil war, but like civil disobedience or social problems, those kinds of cycles, they're all coming together, ladies and gentlemen. And all we can do really, and in the grand scheme of things, the best thing that you can do for yourself, for your family, your community, your state, and your country is to be as prepared as possible. I believe that's the best thing that you can do because these things that are going to happen, they're going to happen, all right, whether we want them to or not. Let's see. Lisa and Sloth Adventure, how are you and welcome? What are your tips for people who only have little extra money to prep? What to get first? Food, water, medicine, self-defense, in that order. Okay. Food, just get the things that you normally eat, a little bit at a time. Slow and steady always wins the race. Okay. Let's see. So water, meaning put water away, but eventually you run out of water if the crisis is long enough, right? So I think it's very important that in addition to your water preparations, that you have a way to clean water. And if that means boiling water for you to be able to make that water potable, so be it. If that means getting a Sawyer Mini or getting one of my Simpure RO systems, which is awesome. Reverse osmosis, I think is very important to have nowadays for everyday use, not just for emergencies, but for everyday use. You know, with all of the nasty stuff that's in water nowadays, even bottled water has been found to have microplastics and forever chemicals in them, ladies and gentlemen. So protect yourself by getting yourself a good water filtration system for everyday use and also something that you can use that's gravity fed for emergencies where maybe you lose power, right? So food, water, medicines, things that you know that you need that are life-saving first, and then maybe a few over the counter, right? And then of course you do need self-defense. Okay, and I'll let you use your imagination for self-defense because you can use so many things, right? Me, I prefer for self-defense, I prefer to use a firearm. Okay, and if you can only afford to get one type of firearm, what I would get is I would get a shotgun with different types of shells. All right, that's what I would get because a shotgun is very diverse. You can use it for many different things, and for home defense, you don't have to aim. All you have to do is point. So when you're in a stressful situation, in a defensive situation with a shotgun, all you have to do is point at the subject and take care of business. You don't have to spend time aiming, looking down the barrel. You just point and pull. All right. So as far as allowing yourself to be able to prepare more by earning more income. And if you don't know how to earn more income, there's a whole bunch of different things you can do. But what I say is to do what a lot of people here on this community have done is to use your kung fu. What is your kung fu? You know, find out what your kung fu is. And what I mean by kung fu is what are you good at that you really enjoy doing? And then go ahead and do that. And more than likely, you're going to be able to earn a little bit of extra income doing that. One of our community members, this was probably about a year ago or so on one of our live streams, she said something to the effect of, I took your advice, and now when I drop my kids off at school, instead of going home, I do, I think she said she did Lyft. I Lyft or DoorDash, where like they get you something from the grocery store or restaurant, they deliver it. She said, instead of getting my kids from school, instead of going home, I just do DoorDash for the 5 or 6 hours my kids are in school, and I use that money to prep. Right. So if you have an income problem, then fix your income problem by doing a little bit extra and then using those funds to prepare with. And remember that you don't need a lot of fancy stuff to prepare. Look at that stove, that camping stove that I reviewed a few days ago. It's a $12 stove. But I'm telling you, from reviewing that stove, I can probably cook a whole meal in that stove. You can cook a one-pot meal in that stove on a $12 stove. That's how good of a stove I think that is, you know? And only because it's $12 doesn't mean that it's cheap. So I hope that I answered your question, at least some of it. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm all the way in the bottom, all right? So if you have any questions that I missed, go ahead and put them down and we'll try to catch them. Sparky's Run, how you doing? Where are we at now? We're over an hour already. But we might be just getting ready to shut down here. Hey, John, what's up, man? Did I even say hello to you, McBean? How you doing, John? Good to see you, brother. Real Down Home Living. All right. Have a great weekend, Real Down Home Living. Good to see you. Alaskan Adventures, how are you doing? Good to see you. Fluffy Otter is in the house. Green Country, good to see you. American Eagle Scout, how are you? All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and call it. Goodness. This hour went by really quick. I hope that you all got a little something out of it and had a little bit of a good time. So if I don't put up a news video tomorrow, I'll put up that review video tomorrow. All right, of the working the white gas stoves in negative 40 degrees. All right, it was pretty interesting, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll see about putting up a news video though, because I like to put out a news video on Saturdays. That way I can at least stay caught up. So I'll probably put out a news video tomorrow, and then I'll wait to put out that other video that I still have to edit and everything on Monday. Right? That's funny. SR says, AP, is it okay if I do a shopping spree on your website? Yes, it is, SR, but I will say this to anyone that wants to use my Amazon storefront link. Only use it for stuff that you're going to get anyways. Don't use it just to support what I do. You're going to support what I do by being here and by using it for stuff you're going to get anyways. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate all of your support now and always. Okay. And I think that OUPES is still having a winter sale. So go check out their prices, because I'll tell you what, they have some really awesome prices, especially this guy right here. This is the Mega 2 right here. And the Mega 2 is kind of like the 2400, but better. And the price is really, really good. All right. This is my new favorite, is the Mega 2. I like it more than the Mega 3 and the Mega 5. Having said that, let me go ahead and let me see. Make that 2 ads. We're at an hour. Are we at an hour? Let me see that. Colorado. Yes. For those of you that don't know, just so as you know, there are ads on live streams now. And I have an option of not having them, but I do have them because it helps with the algorithm. All right. And I try to set them apart at least every 30 minutes. That's the most that you can set them apart, is 30 minutes apart. All right. And you can let YouTube do it on its own, but then it'll do it like every few minutes instead of every 30 minutes. So thank you for letting me know, but I appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen, that you don't get angry at that. That's just the way that YouTube is, and it's going to be the way it is going forward. Tax season preps. All right, JT, Happy Magus here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend. Have a great Friday as well. Be safe out there. Don't drink and drive. Yeah, don't drink and drive. Be safe out there. Don't do something stupid that's going to cost you the rest of your life and that will cost you to possibly take someone else's life. Have a great weekend. Do a little bit of prepping. Also have a great time. Green Country Agroforestry. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. God bless every one of you. God bless America. And don't mess with Texas, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep our prayers for Texas. Let's hope that nothing crazy happens between them and the federal government. But if it does, ladies and gentlemen, just stay prepared. God bless every one of you. God bless America. If you're new here, put I am new all in caps during our outro so that we can say hello to you and welcome you into our community. Bye-bye. Let's see. Let's do our outro now. There we go. God bless you all.